Yo, what's up, everyone? I hope you're having a great day, guys. And I wanted to go ahead and share my thoughts on Manny Pacquiao versus Adrien Broner. The fight takes place on January 19th, 2019. It'll be on Showtime pay-per-view, and it's the return of Manny Pacquiao to the States. The first time that he's been in competing in the United States since 2016 when he defeated Jesse Vargas to become the WBO welterweight champion of the world. So Manny Pacquiao is back on primetime. He's back on Showtime pay-per-view against the ever flamboyant Adrien Broner, former four-division world champion. And fans are asking, what do these two fighters have left in the tank? I think that's the best question coming into this. The only question really that people are interested in seeing is what's left of Manny Pacquiao, what's left of Adrien Broner. There seems to be a lot of noise that Adrien Broner is done, that Adrien Broner has seen his better days, that he's a fighter that fails to really show up when it really matters. And maybe that Marcos Maidana fight from several years back had something to do with it, because ever since then, remember, he came into that fight the heavy favorite. He was supposed to be the next Floyd Mayweather Jr., but he was completely dominated by Marcos Maidana. He was embarrassed by Marcos Maidana, and he lost that fight. A high-profile fight, one in which most fans and experts thought that he should have won. But of course, he was defeated by Marcos Maidana. And ever since then, Adrien Broner really hasn't been the same. In big fights, he's come up short. Lost to Sean Porter. He lost to Mikey Garcia. He lost. He didn't lose, but he got a draw against Jesse Vargas. So in some of these higher profile fights, he's always come up short. He hasn't really shown up, and people attribute it mostly to his lack of focus, to his lack of discipline to the sport, because his lifestyle is very public. You'll see it on his Instagram how he's out and about, he's partying, he's enjoying his life, and he's also had run-ins with the law. And a lot of that lifestyle has really affected his performance in the ring. So, there seems to be this common thought that if Adrien Broner prepares himself, if Adrien Broner comes in disciplined, focused, that he can be a problem to anyone who really enters that ring with him, because that's his nickname, that's his moniker, the problem. But he really hasn't been a problem in high profile fights. So whether or not that's still something that's possible remains to be seen, because his last two big fights were against Mikey Garcia, whom he lost by shutout, and then he got a draw with Jesse Vargas. So he hasn't looked spectacular in recent years. And, I know someone commented on Torres Boxing talking about maybe, what if Adrien Broner was never that good? What if he was just hyped up? What if he just always falls short against elite talent because of the, disparity in skill and talent? What if Adrien Broner was never really that good to begin with? Who knows? But personally, I hope that come January 19th, we see a determined Adrien Broner. We see a Broner that has prepared, that's motivated. He's talking a big game. He's talking about how a Manny Pacquiao fight, this could turn him into a legend overnight. How this is the biggest fight of his career. And it is. I think he's going up against a legendary fighter. And if he beats him, then I think that definitely boosts his stock. So as a fan of boxing, as a fan of Manny Pacquiao, I'm hoping that Broner does prepare for this fight. I'm hoping that we get the best Broner, because that'll not only help us gauge where Broner's at, but it'll also help us gauge where Manny Pacquiao's at. Manny Pacquiao just turned 40 years old. The majority consensus is that he was robbed against Jeff Horn when he went overseas to Australia, to Horn's home country, and lost a very, very controversial decision. I believe that he was robbed in that fight. I think that it was just bad judging, unfortunately. So that's a blemish on Pacquiao's record, unfortunately. But in the eyes of many, he won that fight against Jeff Horn. But, clearly, Jeff Horn was the bigger man. He was bullying Manny Pacquiao, whether it was right or not. Horn was, definitely bullying the much smaller man, Manny Pacquiao. But even then, Pacquiao did win, not on paper, but I think we can all agree for the most part that Pacquiao won. But so he won that fight. Let's say he won that fight, and that was it was in July of last year, and now his following fight was against Lucas Matisse, the Argentine slugger, the heavy hitter from Argentina, La Máquina, the machine. And that fight took place a year later. I want to say it was July of this year, in which he faced the Argentine slugger. Now, coming into this fight, I honestly thought that it was a risky fight because I thought, man, Matisse is a heavy hitter. This man packs a punch. And if he lands flush, he could very well take out Pacquiao. But what happened was that Matisse didn't show up. Sorry about that. Now, there's different, I think there's a couple things going on in this one, right? Quick thoughts that I want to share on that. Now, after the fight, the interviewer asked Matisse, what happened? You just didn't throw punches. Real quick, Manny Pacquiao did win that fight, scoring his first knockout victory in nearly a decade. The last time that he won by knockout by TKO was against Miguel Cotto back in 2009. So this was his first knockout in nearly a decade. And so Manny Pacquiao was dominant in that win. And I'm not trying to take away anything from Manny Pacquiao because I think he prepared well. He looked great. He was fast. He was sharp. I think, before the actual fight in the press conference, Pacquiao was saying that we were going to see a new Manny Pacquiao. And I do believe that we did see a new Manny Pacquiao because over the years we've seen a Pacquiao that's been more cautious, been more selective in his punches, has been a little bit more careful, hasn't lunged into punches like he used to. He'll throw a few punches here and there, but he'll let up. He won't necessarily go in for the kill like he used to. So we're seeing a new Manny Pacquiao. So he in his own right, he did look sharp, he did look good, but it's very hard to gauge exactly where he's at because it's easier to look good against a fighter that's not really there. And let's be honest, Matisse really wasn't there. Matisse didn't throw. Matisse wasn't the machine that he once was. So Matisse goes down, gets knocked out, and they ask him after that fight, what happened? Why didn't you throw? Why didn't you perform the way we're accustomed to seeing you perform? And Matisse says, well, look, you have Manny Pacquiao across the ring, and that does something to you. You're in the ring with Manny Pacquiao. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe there is a hint of truth in that maybe the mystique, the aura of Manny Pacquiao really got into his mind, and it just intimidated him. So that's it's a real possibility, but it's hard to see. I think even before this fight, the previous fight with Matisse, he already started to look like a shell of his former self because I don't remember the name of the fighter, but he did defeat him by knockout. But from what I hear, because I didn't see the fight, but from what I hear, it was a lackluster performance from Matisse. It was a snooze fest, as some comments said. So Matisse was already clearly showing signs of deterioration prior to the Pacquiao fight. So, whether it was, something, that mystique, that aura of being in the ring with Pacquiao being a factor in this, maybe. But also, I think that we could very well say that Matisse was also done physically. He's not there anymore. And he retired right after the fight. So that shows us that he's just not there anymore. Because let's say, for example, if it was the mystique of being in the ring with Pacquiao, but he still had more to give. He still had that fire in him. He still had that, that physical will to continue fighting. Then we could have very well have seen him continue his career and fight another fight. Move past Pacquiao, accepted the defeat and moved on to another fight. But what did we see? We saw Matisse retire right after that fight, giving us a sign that he just didn't have it anymore. He just didn't want to fight anymore. So I think that alone shows us that it had more to do with him just being done. Not to say that he was a bad fighter. I loved Matisse. I loved seeing him. He was a lot like Marcos Maidana, one of my favorite fighters of all time. So I really love seeing him fight. But, to be realistic, he just wasn't the fighter he once was. So because of that, it's very hard to say, oh, well, Pacquiao is still this dominant force. because he beat a fighter that was shot for the most part. So it's hard to say where is Pacquiao right now. So that's why this fight against Adrien Broner is going to be really interesting, because it'll tell us fans, where is Manny Pacquiao? Does he still have what it takes? Can he still compete at a high level? Now, I am one of those fans that would much rather see Pacquiao retire sooner rather than later, because I would hate to see one of my favorite fighters, my favorite fighter, go out, in a bad way. I'd hate to see Manny Pacquiao get hurt in the ring, because I'm emotionally invested in this fighter. So I think that would just be a very, very bad thing, just a bummy thing to experience, to be honest with you. So I would much rather see him, retire sooner rather than later. But Manny Pacquiao in his prime was such an exceptional fighter. He was such a special fighter. He still is, and he was at such a high peak that in his decline, he started to meet these other great fighters. All these good fighters. Pacquiao's up here, and on his decline, he's starting to be evened out with these. Right here, right. He's starting to be evened out with these other fighters. So, he's still better than a lot of the fighters out there today. But, you run the risk of having a bad night where you get old overnight. So, I think that would not be a good thing to see. But this fight is important. I think it's going to be interesting. It'll let us know exactly where is Pacquiao, for Broner fans, or for the boxing fan in general. Where is Broner as well? Can he still compete at a high level? This is a crossroads fight for both of them. If either one loses, then it's not a good sign. Pacquiao is 40 years old, so this could be further add to the argument that, hey, he should retire, but if he wins, he looks good, then, hey, we want to see him in another fight. How can he compete against an elite welterweight, or will he get another fight, a rematch with Floyd Mayweather Jr.? Same thing with Broner. If he loses, then, man, you have an argument. He should retire maybe, or he'll never be able to reach the higher levels of boxing again, just because he keeps coming up short in these high-profile fights. If he wins, then it boosts his stock, and, he's already got a lot of popularity. So if he wins, then his stock just rises even more, and he has the prospect of bigger fights in the future. So it'll be interesting to see, guys. I'm very interested in this matchup. I just wanted to share some quick thoughts on it. Let me know what you think on the comment section. Remember to go ahead and subscribe, hit the bell icon for future notifications, and follow TorresBoxing.com and the Instagram at TorresBoxing, guys. Till next time, give this a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. God bless you.